Hey everyone, it's Jensen here to talk about all the stuff going on in sports, and there's a whole lot of stuff and a whole lot of nothing going on all at the same time. We've got the nothing is because football season is now over, and so that always puts a damper on things. That slows the news down a little bit. The excitement, but I will jump right into the big news, which happens to be baseball. Breaking news today: the owners and the players don't come to an agreement, and so the start of the baseball season is going to be delayed. And yes, that is crickets you are hearing from all over the country because no one cares. No one cares, which is a big problem with baseball. I don't know the details of what the owners are offering, what the players are demanding in this whole thing. I don't know who's right or who's wrong, but baseball has a problem in that it is a very slow and boring sport. And if they are going to want to keep their fans, they're going to need to move on. I mean, there's casual viewers are not flocking to baseball. That's why it does not do good nationally. Regionally, if you've got a team that's right there, you can follow that team. But there's so many games and so many players. It's just too much for people to really care about 162 games. It's just too much. They don't care. You don't care about, like, watching a baseball game is pretty boring. You have to be very invested in it to care about what's going on, which is why it only does well regionally. You turn on just two random teams or two random baseball teams to watch them play, and it's like watching paint dry. It's boring. You're not invested in it. It's just awful. Which is why baseball is struggling. You turn on like football and you're there. It doesn't matter who's playing. It's entertaining. I remember when I was living in Nebraska, they showed, high school football on the local television, and some of the podunk towns, they're so small that they have like lower, team size. They were playing like 7-on-7, but not like the 7-on-7, just wide receivers and quarterback thing. They had like 3 offensive linemen and it was a weird setup, but dang, it was entertaining. It was good stuff to watch. I mean, just little podunk farm towns, putting in their high school things. You were glued to it. Turn on any hockey game. I mean, that's fast-paced action you're watching. For soccer games, turn on most soccer teams. It doesn't matter who's playing. It's pretty entertaining. But baseball, you have got to be invested in that team, or it's just not worth the investment. They take forever and not much happens. So my warning to baseball is, get it together. You're going to lose the few fans you've got. I mean, look at what happened when the 94 season was lost. Baseball has just dropped like a rock. And then there's the steroids thing. There's not much that baseball is doing to bring people to their sport. And so losing games you're losing, the only people that care about it, and you're not able to grow it. So, whatever you're doing, you better come to some sort of agreement, pretty soon. I mean, because no one cares that there's going to be fewer baseball games. No one cares. And that's the problem with baseball. No one will care. So they need to fix it. And this, again, I like the Angels. I like them a lot. And I do follow them, and, but, they, but baseball in general, no, that's just too much, too boring, too long. No. So, yeah, moving on to soccer. That's other big news. Oh, Major League Soccer started. That's another season that sort of drags on. Major League Soccer, and I'm going to have to do this in another video at some point. They can do a lot of things to fix their league. And I know they're rapidly expanding. They keep on getting new teams, but they've got some problems. They never stop for the international breaks, which I think is just awful. You want to be good and have good teams, and yet you're going to keep on playing games when the best players aren't able to play. Just garbage. But anyways, I'll save that for another video. Solutions for Major League Soccer. Not that they need them. Unlike baseball, Major League Soccer is a growing sport, but anyways, I think they could do a lot of things better. The big news goes right along with the big news of the international news of the day is Russia. And it started with Sweden saying they weren't going to play Russia no matter what in World Cup qualifying. They're in the same little group that Russia's in to get one of the last qualifying spots for the Europe spots into World Cup. And then Poland is initially playing Russia in the playoff. Sweden would play, if they won their game, would play the winner of Poland and Russia. And finally, and then the Champions League final was moved out of Russia. It's going to be in France now. And finally, FIFA comes down and they say, Russia, you cannot compete in anything due to the invasion of Ukraine, which, I think is good. I don't know how much pressure that actually puts on Russia. I don't know enough to know what effect that would be. I do think it's the right move, though. I don't think it's fair to have these teams going into Russia to play games or anything that goes along with it. It's just not the right time. Even figure skating finally has said, Russia figure skaters can't skate internationally, which, should have happened before the Olympics. Not because of the invasion of Ukraine, because that obviously happened after the Olympics, but because Russia was cheaters and shouldn't have been in the last 3 or 4 Olympics. But the international committee, the IOC, is ridiculous. So we can't expect too much from them. Anyways, so moving forward, I don't know if the UEFA is going to replace Russia with another team. Some people were saying, they should split up Italy and Portugal because they only one of them can make it into the World Cup, the way the brackets are set up. And or not Portugal, it's Italy and, or maybe it is Italy and Portugal. I can't remember who it is. It's Italy and someone that are on a collision course, and one of them can make it, one of them won't. But I think if you move it now, that's not fair to the Sweden or Poland or whatnot on the others. So just let Russia have a forfeit, in my opinion, and move on from there. All right. The other big news, we're in March, and that means March Madness. USC is currently, they're being predicted to have a 6 seed about. I think, win out, which is a tall feat, would get them all the way up to a 2 seed, I believe. But this is why it's a tall feat if they do that. That includes beating Arizona tonight, beating UCLA on Saturday, and then sweeping whoever they play in the Pac-12 tournament. That's a tough task. If they do it, I think they deserve a 2 seed. But realistically, for the Pac-12, looking at the brackets, Arizona, as long as they don't drop a whole lot of games, and I'm hoping they drop the game tonight against USC, which is sold out and should be a great game. But Arizona, assuming they don't lose every game from now on, they should be a number 1 seed in the tournament. I think UCLA is a little higher seed. People are still saying they're a 4 seed. I don't see it. I think USC, I mean, having beaten them and having a better record than them, I would have USC a higher seed. Apparently UCLA has slightly better like net rankings, but the quad wins or favor USC. There's so many different rankings, but realistically, it's Arizona, USC, UCLA, and the Pac-12 getting in. Oregon's right on the bubble. Right now, I would have Oregon out. If they make a good run, maybe make it to the championship game of the Pac-12 tournament, I think they could push their way in. Other bubble teams, the West Coast Conference, we've got Gonzaga. They'll be a 1 seed. And St. Mary's, beating Gonzaga, that was pretty crazy. They're a high seed too. They're a good team. BYU is the on the bubble team. They would get helped and hurt with Oregon all at the same time if Oregon does well, because they have the blowout win over Oregon, but they don't want Oregon to leapfrog them either. To me, I would have BYU in right now. They've got good resume. Their one blemish on their resume is they have a quad 4 loss, which is not a good look. But to me, still they have a good strength of schedule. They have a good record. I would still have them in the tournament. We'll see what the committee has, so it should be entertaining. And BYU also, they couldn't get the extra game. They were trying to find someone to play them again to boost up the resume a little bit. That didn't happen. So but if they get to the championship game, they'll be in the West Coast Conference tournament. If they make it to the semifinals, they'll still be right on that bubble, and I would put them in, but I don't know what the committee will do. Some of the other teams, some of the people, there's a lot of people that think very highly of the SEC teams, for good reason, and the Big 12 teams. ACC is very down this year, even though Duke is right up there. Duke will probably be a 1 seed, but a 1 seed or a 2 seed. It'll be interesting to see how things go. Auburn is right there for a 1 seed. Kentucky is right there for a 1 seed potentially, and there's Baylor and Kansas right there, right against each other. So there could be quite a few changes here depending on what happens in the conference tournament at the top and the bottom of the tournament. So that's the West Coast stuff for March Madness. Should be good. Hopefully USC beats Arizona tonight, and of course beats UCLA on Saturday. Anyways, I think they're playing on Saturday at least. Whatever. Anyways, that's all I've got. Have it so good. Bye.